With the release of the Season of the Wish, the iconic exotic fusion rifle from Vault of Glass, Vex Mythoclast received a buff to make it a more viable option when dealing with champions. I decided to take this thing out for a spin, and after doing some testing and pairing it with some other mods, I was able to turn this weapon into a beast for in-game content. My name is SniperKH, and today I'm going to tell you guys how to make the Vex Mythoclast a monster for in-game content. Let's open with what exactly got buffed on this weapon. With the release of the season, Bungie wanted to make this weapon stronger for in-game content, and more specifically for dealing with champions. Therefore, Bungie gave Vex Mythoclast the following buffs. This weapon now deals 10% additional damage to red bar combatants, 25% additional damage to bosses, and 200% additional damage to champions when in the linear fusion rifle mode, that you get access to after defeating 6 red bar combatants or 3 yellow bar combatants. While the changes to red bar and yellow bar combatants isn't groundbreaking, the changes made to the linear fusion rifle mode to champions is what makes this weapon a lot more interesting. After the season launched, I decided to do some testing on this weapon just to see how juiced we can make it, and here's what I found. So when it comes down to the testing, I chose to do my testing in the Aphelions Rest Legend Lost sector in the Dreaming City, as at the time of the recording, I was 1810 and the Legend Lost sector was at 1830, putting me 20 below the light level, which should help showcase how this weapon might perform in a Grandmaster setting. When using this weapon by itself, it can take out Unstoppable and Overload champions fairly easily, but you'll need to use all 3 of the linear fusion rifle shots in order to do so, and while that isn't terrible, we can most certainly do better. And to do so, we're going to enlist the help of an artifact mod that we have available to us this season. This artifact mod can be found in the second column of the artifact, and is called Torch. Torch makes it so that when you have Radiant, you deal increased weapon damage to targets affected by stasis and strand debuffs. I did some testing on this mod, and it seems to grant a roughly 30% increase to damage, which is huge for helping Vex meld champions even easier. In the gameplay you're seeing in the background, I'm using a Chill Clip Riptide, which applies slow, a stasis debuff. And once the unstoppable target is frozen, I use my melee to proc Radiant, which allows me to comfortably 2-shot the champion. You can also use Flint Striker to help you proc Radiant, or have a teammate run Heart of the Flame to grant you Radiant in case you're not using a solar subclass, or in case your build doesn't have Ember of Torches as a fragment. If you want to take your champion killing a step further, you can equip Solar Singe mods to give Vex a small damage boost, which will let you get the 2-shot even more comfortably in case you were struggling to get it beforehand. Now, this all seems great, but how does Vex stand versus other options for champion killing or weapons whose sole purpose is to counter champions, such as Wishender, Divinity, and more? Well, Vex does pretty well when holding up against them. Of course, weapons that I previously mentioned like Wishender and Divinity will do their job of countering certain champions better than Vex can, but Vex can still do a solid job of chunking champions down, and can prove to be a fun option to have when running higher end content. While I don't think Vex will be the meta when it comes down to dealing with champions, I do think that it now has some solid ground to stand on when it comes down to its use in endgame content. Well, that'll wrap it up for today's testing. If you found it helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing to the channel for more Destiny 2 content dropping weekly. With Season of the Wish being out now, I'd like to hear from you guys as to what I should cover, so drop your suggestions in the comments below and I'll get to them. If you'd like additional content from me, then consider checking out my other social media platforms, all linked in the description below. With that being said, I'm SniperKH, and I'm out. Good luck with gaming.